what I'll do now is in part 2, I'll go over here and I'll show you what junk I've been buying off AliExpress for the past 2 weeks. Welcome back. This is part 2 of building a PLC test rig for 250 quid. Here's all the crap I've been buying off AliExpress to do this project. So, what we're going to do... What the fuck is that bullshit? So I got to pop there because if you do this on Instagram... Oh, it's not doing it now. It does that thumbs up thing, doesn't it? It stopped doing it. It pisses me off. Right, I'll try again. Anyhow, what I've done over the last... About 2 weeks ago, I decided I was going to do this project. I think I might have mentioned it in another video. So I went on AliExpress, the home of cheap Chinese electronics.
Are you thick or something?
And I purchased some bits to do it with, which I'll lay on the table in front of me here. I've actually got the bit of a gist of this. One from Daz in the ESK control stack, Daz Logical Controls, because he's got a test rig. I was like, I should have one of them. And I had that in the back of my mind. Then I saw one for sale on eBay when I was looking for Mitsubishi PLCs. I was like, oh, that's quite good. Then I realised it was homemade. I was like, well, that's homemade. I can homemade one. And then I start looking on eBay. Everything on eBay that's cheap electronics is just an import of something off AliExpress. AliExpress make you wait about 2 weeks. I'm a bit old now, I'm not as impatient as I was. So I went on AliExpress and I found some junk that I'm going to unbox now and show you. And this is going to form the base of my test rig. I'm going to do a spreadsheet, which I'll try and make available. I need to find somewhere to put the file. And I'm going to put down how much everything cost. I'll put how much everything cost. And I'll put a spreadsheet and I'll list all the links. However, don't go running out and buying everything I bought. We're not there yet. I've bought a little bit too much of some stuff as well for other projects, but I will put what I bought, how much it cost and how many I got. Then at the end I'll work out how many of each one I used. I was sick then after my lunch, hang on. I'll work out how much each one I used and we'll work out the exact cost of the rig. So I may overspend by 250 quid, but some of this won't up on the test rig because I've got other jobs for it. So just bear that in mind. Go and have a look around AliExpress, but don't come back here moaning if you spend about 500 quid on fucking tap for playing with, because it's dangerous. It is reasonably good. My credit card's not been robbed, although I did set one of those fake credit cards where you like put £200 in it and you use it just in case it gets out there. It's a little bit of a... AliExpress is a bit of a gamble. Like, ordering stuff can be a bit of a gamble. You never quite know what's going to turn up. My experience so far is this. What I thought was going to turn up has pretty much turned up. Sometimes I've quickly ordered something not realising there's more of a menu selection, which I'll show you in a bit on the computer. And yeah, the gear's a bit rough around the edges, but I think in the general gist of it, it all works. Well, we're about to have a look at it now. So let me show you what I bought rather than gabbing on. But is it safe? Yes, it is. Don't start giving out your credit card details you can spend thousands on though. And just check before you buy. Put it in your basket. Double check it. I got a bit excited about some stuff in there. So what's going on my test rig? Let me show you. I'll just interdict, put a bit in here, yeah? There's some pictures if it's on YouTube. Here's the PLC test rig I found online. It had an encoder, it had inputs, it had outputs. And I was like, oh, that's good. So then I was like, I went in the ESK chat, the ESK control chat. I was like, I would like to have, I'd like to have inputs, which are switches and buttons and things like that. Outputs, which can be lamps and relays and things like that to make things click and interact with it. That's a very basic PLC. You can do that with smart relay. I was like, I'd like it to be quite an advanced PLC, but I'd like it to be able to be used by even a smart relay, which is a very simple sort of PLC, just does ins and outs. Then I was like, I'd actually like to incorporate an encoder, because that would be fun to play with. It gives you a lot of numbers to play with, do some maths. And I thought I'd like to incorporate terminals for putting like sensors and stuff in. Any random sensors you want to buy. So I'll have some terminals on there. And one thing I wanted to incorporate as well was temperature. I don't know if I've succeeded yet because it's all fucking on the table here, but I think the PLC I've got can do PT 100 temperature. So I've got temperature, I've got inputs, outputs, switches, buttons, blah, 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 blah. I don't think I've got the switches yet, but I'll check my postage. But yeah, let's look what I've got so far. We're going to add to it stuff, and I'm rambling now. You want to see the shit? So let me show you the shit I bought. Here's all the shit I bought, yeah? What I've done is I've got it all laid on the table with the package it come in. Obviously, I've unboxed it, yeah? It's not a fucking unboxing. It's in a 12-year-old's TV channel on YouTube, yeah? And I've got the invoices here of what I paid for it. Just bear in mind, invoices on AliExpress can come in any amount. So what I've done is, like on this one, I've got the AliExpress invoice amount is here. Then I've wrote on it what it actually was and what I paid for it, because it can get a bit tricky to do your books. Anyhow, I digress. I'll pick something at random. I'll pick whatever's in this bag, and I'll reset the counter, and we'll do this one. I'll probably end up spending more than 250 quid, but like I say, I'll thin it down for you, so I can finally get rid of this shit now. So that bag is now empty, and in here, I've got some DB9 connectors, 9-pin DB connectors. Let's just unwrap them. We're not going anywhere, are they? On screws from out. So I bought that kind of connector, and it's got terminals on, because you'll see I've got PLCs with this connector on and a HMI with this connector on, and I didn't know if I'd get the right lead or wrong lead. So what I did was I bought a sufficient amount of these. Yeah, I got a male and a female, both with fucking, that don't fit. There you go. First AliExpress drama. Although I bought male and female, look, they don't fit because they've got socketed things on. They've got screw terminals on straight away. That's a fucking bit shit. Anyway, we'll make them fit. But I bought those so I can make up DB9 leads in any orientation that my equipment may require. So I bought 2 males and 2 females. So I've just fucked 2 of them off now, because obviously I don't need to hold all 4 of them. I've just noticed they won't plug together, look, because they're obviously project boards designed to maybe sit out the back of a project you make and gear terminals inside. They won't click together like that, but I could soon undo these screws and replace them with thinner screws so they will click together. Hopefully they'll do what I intend them to do, which is connect my HMI to my PLC and allow me to connect my serial converter to my PLC for programming. So yeah, I bought those, and I'll just tell you how much they were. Those cost me, for all 4 of them, 2 males, 2 females, £5.11 delivered from China. It took about 2 weeks. And what I'll do is, down in the corner now, I'm going to run a little adding up thing. So I'll make it go ding and put £5.11 on the screen, and we'll add it up each time. So yeah, there you go. That's the first bit, quite boring, but it enables me to make up a connection lead to the PLC for the HMI and for the program of the PLC. So I shouldn't be fucking around with leads I haven't got that don't work, blah, 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 blah. I'll go for this one next. I know what this one is. This is this. Just check it's empty. Yeah, it's gone. This is a PLC card, input-output test card. Again, I'll put the links up, yeah? So what you can do is you can wire your inputs into here, and these switches will allow you to put the input on, or alternatively, you can mimic it quickly by pressing these little buttons here. Then, you put your outputs on here, and you can bring these LEDs on. So it's got 17 channels for some random reason. Seems to be reasonably well made. Soldering's a bit shit. And I'm guessing this is 24 volt. I'll wire these up in a minute. Some of these items on this bench now will have separate videos made about them. This is just the introduction. So yeah, it's great for just testing the input cards and outputs of a 24 volt PLC card. I think I'll do a breakout video on this and show you in a bit more detail. I will tell you how much it costs. So yeah, this, which from a very similar thing to this from Siemens, that actually plugs into their boards, to be fair, will set you back about 70 quid. However, this one, Sedgley found this one, he's a good lad, cost me £4.85 delivered, which is an absolute bargain just for testing out a single PLC card or just having to play with stuff. So yeah, £4.85 delivered. Can't beat it, can you? It's like a sore dick. You can't beat it, says Ave. Next one, this box, might be a bit more interested. In here, there's a HMI. I actually found out about these when I was doing some research. Someone asked me to do a job where someone had locked themselves out on the password on one of these. I was like, I've never even seen that HMI before. It looks dog shit. And then I realised these, I had a look on the usual shit houses like AliExpress and eBay, and I managed to find a picture of it, tracked it back down to AliExpress. Someone was trying to charge me 1,500 quid for this. I think my price, to be fair, was 1,000 because software. But this is cheap. This delivered to my house. As you can see, I powered it up, look. Put a little in there panel, it's got the clips. It's a bit shit in the fact that that plugs quite close to the door, but that delivered as a HMI, £18.84. Like, ridiculous levels. Even though it's a very, very shit HMI, like, if that was Siemens, you're going to pay a considerable amount more for it. So, yeah, £18.84 for that. That will get its own breakout video, no doubt. But for £18.84 for HMI delivered, that's a bargain. You have got to go on a dodgy Chinese website and download some software. I'm looking just over in the corner, actually. I've got a... if you're into virtual machines, then yeah. But I've got a dodgy laptop down there that I can just wipe and use for looking at these bits of software. But I'm going to open them so you don't have to. So yeah, £18.84 for HMI. Whoopity fucking do, eh? Put that over there out the way. As I've said, don't go buying everything, because some of the bits I bought might not be what you want. But we'll see. This one, I bought this, a selector switch, a wafer switch. Basically, it's got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3 selections. Off, on, or automatic manual and off. I just brought that because I wanted to play the wafer switch. And I thought it might be good for another project, but I bought it as part of this project so I can select between things. Thought it might be good to make the inputs up with something interesting, so I could have like, this could be like one style of simulation, that could be another style of simulation, that could be another, so I could have 3 different sets of code in the machine and use it to select between them. So I thought that'd be interesting. They do these up to like 7, 8 and 10 or something like that. They're ridiculously priced. That delivered to my door was £2.31. Not much more you can say about it, but I will do a breakout video on that where I show you what it's doing and how they work. But yeah, £2.31. Bargain. We've got a few bits and bobs that start making up, but one thing we haven't got is any output. So I was like, oh, I'll use LEDs. Now, 22mm lamps like you see on the front of control panels, that's going to take up a lot of real estate. So I went hunting for something and I found these. I actually bought way too many of these, but I've got other jobs for them. So the price of these needs to be offset with how many I actually use. And if we go in here, this is a very tightly packed box, like your mother's. I got these. These are what I believe is, let me just drag some outside. I got these these LEDs, the 24 volt LEDs, and each one has a 20 milliamp LED, red, green and yellow. Obviously in the wrong order, you think they'd be like a traffic lights, wouldn't you? But they're not. So they've got 3 LEDs. So there, look, I've got 9 LEDs in a compact thing. 9 LEDs would take up a large amount of space any other way in 22mm. It'd take up a lot more space, so that was a really compact way of doing it. My thought was with these, they'd be really good because we could make traffic lights. We could do running, stopped and tripped. And you just get a lot of LED for your real estate. Again, they're 20 milliamp a pop at 24 volts. Everything I've done is 24 volts, yeah? And I'm assuming that you own a 24 volt power supply. I'll go through the assumptions of this in a minute when I get to stuff. But yeah, they cost, for all of those, 10 of those, cost £20 10. But again, I probably only want about 5 of these. The rest of them for other projects I've got, and they're just quite useful. I believe that is DIN. I believe that thickness is DIN 1. So MCB's 2 of them, and MCB's DIN 2. Sort of correct me on that, but I think that's how it works. They're basically half the width of an MCB. In the same way they were like that, I got these ones as well. Again, these are for other little projects I've got kicking off as well, and they're just useful to have on the test bench for testing. These are exactly the fucking same, made by exactly the same firm, featuring exactly the same size and exactly the same milliamps, but these ones are just red and green, on or off, so you can have some I/O on or off. And one thing I do want to get as well is some interface relays, remind me of that. They were £13.49 for 10. Again, exactly the same shit, just a different day. I'm not sure what my total number is at the minute. You'll have to wait to YouTube for that. But again, little bargain for what they are really. They're just useful, they're compact. One of the problems with test rigs is they can be boring. Yeah, I didn't just go and buy a load of switches for my inputs. I was looking at other options. So I bought this because it's compact, but it's quite hard to press. So I'm going to buy some toggle switches and some push buttons as well to complement this, if I even use this. But also, I wanted something with a bit more snazziness, so I bought this. This was surprisingly cheap, actually. I got in here. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. And then in here, you'll find, just for a little bit more excitement, I've got a little joystick lock. Up, down, left, right. And obviously, if you click it one way, it does too. So yeah, up, down, left, right, joystick. And there's some associated gubbins in here, which I'll keep in the bag so I don't lose it. And that joystick, which just makes it a little bit more fun if I'm doing stuff, was £8. Again, a bargain for what's not a bad little bit of kit. There's just 4 micro switches on a cam, but yeah, decent for the money. I'll do this one next. That's just a bit of wire for those DB9 connectors that I brought with me. I brought that. I'm going to go through the assumptions soon. In here, I got these. That's all that's in there. I got these, which have already received a breakout video on this Instagram platform, because I just did it the other night. But these are shaft encoders. This is the one I've been playing with. These basically give pulsed outputs related to where they are for counting things like where things are on that. These particular ones are 720 counts per rotation. Look at the breakout video for this information. I wish I got smaller ones. Probably 100 would have been fine for learning. 720s to advanced for learning. It basically makes 720 press of a button as it turns round. If you're going to buy some shaft encoders, probably buy 100. These are too high resolution. And by the time these get through to my test rig, I will have repurchased a 100 count one. But yeah, these just tell you where things are in relation to rotation. Shaft encoder. There's a separate video for them already, and it'll be on here soon. These were surprisingly cheap again for the technological things they are. Although they're not the cheapest, but for 2 of them delivered to my door of the wrong type, but I'll use them, was £22.59, 23 quid for 2 of them delivered from China, and they work great. Like, they work. They're not the most robust things. They're made out of plastic. They won't last long in a heavy industrial environment. As I say in the video, you wouldn't use one on a robot that cut your ball bags open in an operation, but for the purpose of learning, for 22 quid, they're an absolute bargain. And finally, from a purchase so far, in here, we've got a fake Chinese PLC. This PLC comes with those little leads and that thing. We're not worried about that. This PLC is in the packaged style of a Siemens PLC, although it's physically smaller than I think the Siemens PLC is. But it's actually a Mitsubishi clone of a FK3, I think it is. I'll put it up here on the screen because I can't remember. This one was a bit more expensive than the cheapest ones because this one apparently can do temperatures in PT100. It's got analog and digital. One thing I will say about it straight off the bat is, because obviously it's fucking cheap as chips, yeah? These are incredibly small terminals, smaller than you expect in an old PLC, I think. So what I will be doing is wiring these out to terminals to save these terminals. Don't go wiring these terminals over and over again. You'll wreck them quite quickly. So I will wire all of this out to terminals. There is some plugs there, I don't know what they're for on that. That's a run and stop thing. Yeah, the normal lights run at the input lights, the output lights, the RS232 socket for programming and connected to your HMI, dim mountable, really cheap, nasty plastic. However, I don't care about the plastic, I care about the processor inside. I'm going to talk more about this in the breakout video, but this cost me, delivered to the UK, £34. You may be able to get a similar, genuine Mitsubishi PLC second-hand on eBay, but because of this project is a player-owned project, I'm having to buy everything from a place where you can buy it. So you can go and buy one of these right now because it's available for sale. So I have to do that. I can't just go, oh, I picked up a PLC for 50p off eBay, because you can't do that. But this is apparently a Mitsubishi clone and works with the Mitsubishi software. I'm going to find that out later. This will definitely get its own breakout video. Now then, let's talk about what things you should already have. Right, I'm just going to talk briefly about the things I'm going to assume you have. The £250 price mark, you might be able to get these as well. I don't know where we are on the money. If we just go raw basics and buy a PLC, and you only spend 40 quid, you could spend the rest of your budget on the bits I'm going to show you now, and then get moving as you go on. Or you could wait. You ain't got to buy anything. Everything I've bought is freely available on AliExpress. I'm trying to make you... There's loads of ways of doing this where I could do it with all this shit I've got lying around. But this is all about buying it and acquiring it now so that you can copy it. So bear that in mind. But you couldn't just go and buy a PLC. And to make that work, it's very basic. So you got in the budget 250 quid because that's what you can afford at the minute. You need these things. I'm just going to show you the things I'm going to assume you've got. I'm going to assume you've got access to a set of tools. Yeah? Snips, screwdrivers, and some cable. Yeah, you're going to need some quite thin cable. It's only 24 volt. Ideally, get a 10 metres of belt and strip it down or whatever. That'll probably do you. But whatever you get your hands on, you need some hardware like tools, snips, screwdrivers that fit all your terminals, and some cable. If you work for someone, rob some, scrap something, I don't know. But yeah, we're going to assume you've got those. There are, however, a few more expensive things we'll have to get. Expensive or not, as the case may be. First of all, we need some power. Yeah, I'm going to assume you've got a power supply. You could buy a power supply like this, not a Vardamiller one. It will cost you 250 quid on its own. But like a Meanwell or something off AliExpress. If you buy one of these, you're going to need to fuse it on the outgoing side or put some sort of protection in. Which is why if you're doing some bench testing, you can buy one of these, great, it'll work, yeah? But if you are going to partake in this product, you're going to carry on doing this thing, I would suggest you buy a bench power supply. Probably not like this one, because this one's a shit digital program one. I've got another one at home that's got knobs on. You'll see it in my video. This is on YouTube. I'll put it in here. I'd prefer the one with fine and coarse settings for current, fine and coarse settings for voltage. But at the end of the day, This is about 30 quid, and any bench power supply you can do will do you. And if you get a half decent little shonky power supply like this, it'll do you for a lot of stuff. Power up sensors, blah de blah de blah. So that'll do for this project. I assume you're going to get a half decent sub £50 bench power supply. You're going to spend your own time playing with your bench power supply and setting it up so that you can you can limit the current and limit the voltage. So you can spend your own time setting it to 24 volts and limiting the current to about, I don't know, 150 milliamps for starters, because I'm responsible for you blowing your shit up, right? So there you go. So I've blown stuff up with this because it's a bit shit. So get the one with the 2 pots. So I'll assume you've got a power supply. I'll also be assuming, unfortunately for this project, that you've got a something that looks like this. These ones are particularly good. These are clearly off AliExpress, bought from China, but are sold on Amazon as a WAV share. Now, these were recommended to me by a few people because they just seem to work. The old RS232/485/whatever it is connectors were just a pain in the... Yeah, but apparently, and I've witnessed it, these ones just plug in and seem to work. I think this was about 40 quid off Amazon. Might be a bit less. This one's got the old terminals on it and the DB9 port, and comes with a USB cable and some LEDs, and I've had great success using this one. I can't complain about it. So that's a WAV share one. I would recommend that one. Yeah, it seems to work for me. Is it going to work with this shit? I don't know yet. I haven't plugged in, but I'm going to assume you've got an RS232/485, whatever it is, converter kicking around. So you're going to need one of these in life anyway, I'm afraid, and controls, I think personally, but that's debatable. So if you're only messing with brand spanking new stuff, you probably won't need one. However, there are great little bits of software that come around for RS232, and it's a really easy protocol to learn. So I would say you're going to need one of these. It won't do you any harm. Keep it in a nice bag. You're going to need that. That's an assumption. And finally for today, I've got this manky old laptop that I rescued from a skip. It's running Windows something or other. The hinges are about fucked. It's really cronky, but it's basically a disposable laptop. You could go and buy a cheap-ass laptop off Amazon or eBay or something like that. You might have one lying around. The bit I'm going to say here is, I'm not your IT man. Do not ring me and tell me your IT's fucked because you've got some Chinese website virus that's hacked your computer and bought a load of 12-inch dildos, yeah?
哎呀 Jimmy 唔識睇中文傻仔
That laptop there, I'm going to reload it with Windows 10 and I'm literally going to use it for nothing but this project. That's all it's going to do. Yeah, I'm not going to connect it to my internet. I'm not going to connect it, well, I'm going to connect it to the internet, but I'm not going to connect it to I'm not going to connect it anyway to anything I've got a password on. If I want to get stuff onto it, I'll use a USB stick. But if I want to go on Chinese websites, download software or anything hooky, it's going to be on that laptop. So yeah, see what you can get your hands on. You might be dead clever on a virtual machine. You might want to get a manky old laptop. Yeah, it does not take much laptop to run a PLC software. This is old. Think about an i3, something of who gives a fuck. It'll run the software, I know it will. They're not very hungry. Also, this requires the Mitsubishi software, which I'll go into in its own video. For some reason, you can just download it online. You can download it off the Mitsubishi website if you sign up as a trial. And then, if you look around on the internet, there seem to be people just putting the serial numbers around for nothing. Either way, you can't buy. Don't bother looking on the manufacturer website. They just tell you to use the Mitsubishi software to do the video, but you can acquire it. You know what I mean? You can acquire it for not a lot, but we'll go into that in the PLC video. I'll try and tell you in secret. But yeah, they're the assumptions and stuff you've got. If you haven't got them, or you don't want to get them, you're wasting your time. All right, you might not have a power supply. I use a power supply regular in control stuff. The serial link, yeah. The computer, if you're not going to buy a computer dedicated to doing this trade, you're probably waste time. So yeah, hopefully that's useful. Don't start buying loads of shit yet. We're going to start putting it together soon. But yeah, maybe if you want to go and buy loads of shit, I don't give a fuck. Go and buy the PLC, I don't give a fuck. Start looking around AliExpress, see what's there. Maybe order something cheap off there. But you can get away with this. I reckon you can get away with this and this. That and that. The cheapest one of these ones just got ins and outs. That, and then a way of connecting it up. That would do you. So if you want to get Billy Basic, just buy these. I've got a little bit more exotic because I want of things. And obviously, it goes without saying that you can just buy the PLCs, the middle, buy one of these, and then you can add to it as we go along. So yeah, straight off the bat, I'm going balls deep, but literally you can get that and that. And you can make a start with your laptop and your lead. So yeah, hope that's useful. I'll see you later for another part. Who knows how long that'll be. But if you want to talk about it or discuss it, if there's a lot of popularity for this, I'll set up a separate ESK group for this rig. If not, we'll do it in the controls chat or in the comments of the YouTube video or whatever. See you later.